how has the capture technology impacted where you're at in your career and how you're training people and how you're guiding and all those things now? Like you've run a big gamut, from film through the early days of digital, now to mirrorless.
Right.
How has that impacted what you're able to do out on location?
So I do a lot of guiding and trying to share what I know with people. And the easiest way to do that is through the best technology or the newest technology out there. So I don't always have clients that have all that, but if they're asking for recommendations, that's one of the things I do is try to get them to go to a mirrorless system so that when they are being guided or working with somebody tutoring them or whatever, the teaching process is so much easier. Yeah. So being able to have bigger LCD screens and to have even better quality LCD screens. You don't have to look through their viewfinder all the time. And it's almost like using a phone where you can actually both share and look at it really, quickly and see what's happening. Yeah. So the technology of that's just the camera technology, and then the lens technology is important too. So like wildlife having eye detection and different things, it's just so much easier. A lot of people, they'll get into bird photography and they really want to do birds in flight. Well, it's one of the harder things to do, but with the technologies today, it is a lot easier than it used to be to use a large box so that you can hit the focus quicker and then to have eye detection that will actually put the focus point on the eye, because we always have to have a sharp eye and head.
Right. And as a portrait photographer, when you said that yesterday about getting onto the eye of the bird in flight, I'm like, I would have never considered that would grab such a tiny little thing and hold on to it.
Yeah, so just in the last 3 years, that technology has gone to where now people that do sports, so they can pick like auto racing, and it will actually look for the driver's helmet and the face of the driver inside the car, and I mean, it's just amazing.
That is insane. So before we move on to our next topic here, do you have a recommendation in your opinion? I know you're a Nikon guy now.
Currently.
But you had gone to Canon for a little bit because of the technology upgrade and then went back to Nikon. Do you have recommendations for people listening if they want to get into a mirrorless system? Like what would you recommend?
Yeah, well, there's several manufacturers that have come on the scene in the last, or that have stepped up in the last 10 years, but if you're looking for the versatility in lenses and stuff like that, Canon's been around a long time, so it's an easy system to get into, and because you do have that ability to go with cheaper lenses, medium lenses, expensive lenses, and to have that flexibility in all the different ranges in zoom lenses. So usually beginners or intermediate are using a lot of zoom lenses because it gives you that more versatility. So I think a Canon system would be a good start. And when I went to mirrorless, they were ahead, and that's why I left Nikon for a short while. And I use the R5 system, so I don't like the big body. I like the medium-sized body. Yeah. And I just loved the lenses that Canon had. So I mean, I think that they have probably the biggest range. Nikon's been around a long time. Everyone's fearful that they're so not diversified in their system, but Sony's very good in video, although I think all of them are good in video now. The biggest thing I like about Canon too is the menu system. So if you're an intermediate photographer and you want a simpler menu system, I think that they have the best.
Okay. And yesterday on location, you had a 180 to 600. And what were your shorter focal distance lenses that you were using?
I used 24 to 120.
Okay.
And then I also had a 14 to 30.
Okay. We actually have a question coming in here.
Okay.
Has the shutter sound change from DSLRs to mirrorless affected your animal wildlife photography?
So it depends if I'm talking about just me personally or when I'm guiding. I like to have a little bit of sound and I like from my clients too, so I know if they're getting the shot. So I'm setting them up on something, and I like that I can tell if they're getting the shot so that I can say, okay, well, maybe move to the side a little bit now and get it from this angle. So it's hard for me when I'm guiding to have someone shooting without sound.
Okay.
But I know that I shoot without sound a lot too. So when I'm in a blind, I always shoot without sound because, you know, sometimes in a blind I'm doing bobcat or something like that, and their sense of hearing and they're very skittish, so probably not a good idea to have a loud shutter.
Yeah, and plus you probably don't want to have a close encounter with a bobcat necessarily.
They're not too big.
They're not too big. So when you're out in the field, and this is one of my questions for you when we were talking, what do you do with all your files? Because, like, as an example, and just so everybody knows that's listening too, you actually flew into Minnesota on Friday. You went to Ely, and you spent 2 days up there with a guide photographing. It was your first time in Minnesota, so you wanted to take advantage of that. Like, with all of that capture that you're doing, photo and video, how are you keeping that safe until you get home?
Yes, I think that the way that I do it, a lot of people do it that way, but I know there's some people that don't as well. But what I like to do personally is to each evening take the card and put it in a card reader, and I have that attached to a laptop, and then have an external hard drive also attached to the laptop, and basically just take it from the card and get it into a external hard drive. Mm-hmm. That's just temporary until I get it home, and then of course I try to have like 3 backups. So it's we had a Drobo system that's storing like I think 60 terabyte of information, and then we have cloud, and then we have those external drives. We will use an external drive to hold about a year's worth of images, and so now we have like 20 of those, and we can put those in a safe or something, and we always have that flexibility too.